All right, jumping right in, welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're taking a really close look at the, well, phenomenal rise of internet personality Kai Cenat.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
We've pulled together a stack of sources for this, mainly transcripts from a couple of YouTube videos and a pretty detailed Wikipedia entry.
Good mix of sources.
And this deep dive, it isn't just about tracing the steps of someone who got famous online. I mean, the sources paint a picture of a journey marked by some pretty significant challenges.
Definitely.
And crucially, what seems like a highly strategic approach to building something, well, massive.
Right, not just luck.
Exactly. Our mission here is to use only the information in these sources to distill the core story, the key strategies, the major milestones, and, the undeniable cultural impact of Kai Cenat. We're looking for those important nuggets of knowledge and insight, things like his humble beginnings, early doubter.
Like that principal story.
Yeah. And the power of building a team, breaking streaming records, and even, influencing the language we use online.
It's all in there.
So let's get into it.
Okay, so what's compelling right from the start, based on these sources, is understanding that foundation. His origins.
Right.
Kai Carlos Cenat III, born December 16, 2001, Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Raised by a single mother of Caribbean descent, Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti.
Right.
And he had 3 siblings, a twin sister, Kaya, an older brother, Devante, and a younger brother, Khalil.
And the sources, they really don't shy away from the difficult times early on.
No, they don't.
There's a point mentioned where he and his family lived in a homeless shelter in Georgia because, well, the source basically says they couldn't afford a comfortable living environment.
Yeah, that's a tough start.
And what really hits home, I think, is that detail that he reportedly still keeps those shelter sheets.
As a memory, right, in his current home.
Yeah, in New York. That really underscores how significant that period must have been for him.
Absolutely. That detail, it provides real context for the drive you see later.
Makes sense.
The sources note he eventually returned to NYC, settled in the Bronx, where, as one source puts it, things began to feel, quote, normal.
Okay.
He attended Frederick Douglass Academy, graduated in 2019, and then briefly enrolled at the State University of New York at Morrisville.
For business administration, right?
That's the one,
Okay.
studying business admin.
But yeah, college wasn't the path that stuck for long. He dropped out in 2020.
Right. The sources state his reasoning was, well, it was holding him back.
Holding him back from content creation.
Exactly. From his passion, making it tough to balance the schoolwork and, the creativity.
It's interesting, though, because the sources also point out his college videos were actually pretty important for his channel's early visibility.
Yeah, that's a key detail. So maybe not a total loss in terms of content, even if he felt he needed to move on.
Right. A stepping stone, perhaps.
That decision, though, to prioritize content creation, it really speaks to recognizing an opportunity and, well, committing to it.
Definitely.
According to the sources, his very first steps into creating were way back, around age 13, July 2015.
13, wow.
Yeah, making short comedic skits on Facebook initially. Friends eventually joined in, making it more of a group thing.
And from there, the sources show him transitioning to Instagram in 2016.
Adapting to that shorter video format.
Focusing on skits and rants covering, relatable themes like his height, trying to meet women.
Just general rants, yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff lots of teens could relate to.
And what stands out is the consistency here. The sources say he posted over 120 videos. Consistently.
Over 2 years on Instagram.
That's a solid foundation of practice and effort before even really hitting YouTube hard.
That consistent grind is so crucial. He officially launched his YouTube channel January 13th, 2018.
Okay.
Initially promised a mix of content, vlogs, reactions, skits, pranks, aimed for 3 uploads a week.
Did he stick to that?
Well, the sources do note he didn't always hit that specific schedule. Life happens, I guess.
Sure. And early on, it wasn't like, boom, instant viral success or anything.
Not at all. The sources talk about low views initially.
And here's that surprising nugget from one source. His principal
Oh, yeah.
called his early videos garbage.
Oh, that's pretty blunt feedback.
Right. But despite that, the sources say he just kept grinding, pushing forward.
That resilience, even against, direct criticism like that, it's a key thread you see in the sources.
Yeah.
He started to find his stride, developing specific content series that resonated more.
Like the Ding Dong Ditch thing.
Exactly. The Extreme Ding Dong Ditch College Edition, September 2019.
Yeah.
That's highlighted as a moment that really went viral.
And parts 2 and 3 did well too, right?
Yeah, also hitting over 1 million views.
Yeah.
And the sources point out the clever hook here.
What was that?
The outcome didn't matter as much as the attempt itself, like getting caught or giving up. Both provided payoff for the viewer, kept them engaged.
Uh, Smart. Keeps you watching regardless.
Right. And he also began adapting to popular YouTube trends at the time, like those 24-hour challenges.
Okay.
The sources also give us glimpses of other early experiments, like a music video debut for something called AD2 Shoot.
Never heard of that one.
Me neither, but it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And those dating videos he filmed in his car
Yeah.
shows he was constantly trying different formats, seeing what stuck.
Makes sense. Throwing stuff at the wall.
This whole period of experimentation and growth led directly to his involvement with AMP,
Right. The Creator Collective.
Yeah.
Any means possible.
which the sources say he officially joined in August 2020.
So the sources name some key AMP members. Agent 00 Duke Dennis, Fonum.
Christmas Store Am Davis.
And it's noted Kai was actually the first non-founding member brought into that group.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What's fascinating here, according to the sources, is the significant role AMP played, like as a catalyst.
Totally. They provided exposure, collaboration opportunities.
And importantly, that sense of brotherhood the sources mention.
Yeah, the sources suggest Kai's personality fit that group dynamic really well,
Yeah.
and he often stood out in their content.
Driving new eyes to his own channels, presumably.
Exactly.
He even had that notable music moment within the group, right? Dropping a verse in AMP's freshman cipher.
Which later became the single Bust Down Raleigh Avalanche.
Yeah. So that collaborative platform, then, it seems, paved the way for his next major strategic move.
The pivot to Twitch.
Yeah. The sources say he started streaming there in February 2021, migrating his efforts from YouTube.
His early streams covered, the usual suspects, gaming, reaction content, and just chatting.
And this is where that earlier YouTube base really paid off, according to the sources.
Big time. His loyal followers migrated with him to Twitch, made his first stream successful right away, 1,500 followers.
Not bad for day one.
And the sources heavily emphasize that his visibility through the main AMP channel, which was getting millions of views in 2021,
Right.
that was a key driver of fans to all his personal channels, including this new Twitch stream.
So AMP was like a launch pad for Twitch, too.
Seems that way. However, the sources also note the move to Twitch wasn't entirely smooth sailing at the start.
Oh.
He faced temporary bans in April 2021, twice, related to accusations of using hateful slurs or symbols,
Okay.
though he was quickly unbanned. The sources do mention that Twitch's communication around these sorts of issues can sometimes be unclear.
Yeah, that's a common critique you hear. Okay, so here's where the strategic side really seems to accelerate, based on what the sources tell us.
The team building.
Yes.
Yeah.
A crucial part of his growth involved building a dedicated team. The sources point out he hired a cameraman, Chris, right after dropping out of college.
Describing it as one of the smartest things he did.
Because it enabled him to create content he just couldn't film on his own, right?
Exactly. Opened up possibilities.
Then the sources say he hired an editor, C.B. Ryan.
And this is where we get insight into his thinking, recognizing that editing is, well, it's a massive part of the workload.
Estimated at around 60%, the sources say.
Yeah, and absolutely essential for keeping audience attention.
Yeah.
Especially, with shrinking online attention spans.
Makes total sense. Good editing is crucial.
And the team building didn't stop there. The sources highlight hiring a thumbnail designer, Kenzie.
Who they call the Picasso of YouTube thumbnails.
High praise. And the sources explicitly state how critical this was. Strong visuals significantly boost the click-through rate.
Which leads to more views, more engagement.
A huge surge, actually. The numbers are stark here. The sources attribute 153 million views and nearly 1 million subs.
993,000 subs.
In just 8 months directly to Kenzie's work.
Wow. That's a clear result of strategic investment in just packaging the content better.
Absolutely. Smart move.
The sources also give us a little peek behind the curtain at Kai's own creative process, mentioning a secret content wall or whiteboard.
Yeah, where he brainstorms ideas, concepts for major events like the 7 Days in Prison stream, that ambitious Red Dead 2 stream.
And those record-breaking subathons.
Likely originated there. It suggests a level of planning behind the seemingly chaotic energy.
Right. Method to the madness, perhaps.
This combination of strategic planning, team building, and just raw creativity really exploded from 2022 onwards.
Leading to him breaking major records and crossing into, mainstream recognition.
Yeah, the sources note he started bringing on celebrity guests onto his streams that year. Figures like Bobby Shmurda, Lil Baby,
21 Savage.
and the sources specifically call out that 21 Savage stream, saying it caused a significant boost in viewership.
Peaking at 283,000 concurrent viewers? That's huge.
Massive. And this act of bringing traditional celebrities into the streaming space is highlighted as something that started to really break down barriers.
Between online creators and, like, established entertainment industries.
Exactly.
And he didn't just bring musical guests on. The sources mentioned he ventured further into music himself, releasing Bust Down Raleigh Avalanche with NLE Choppa.
Which actually went gold certified by the RIA.
Gold, wow, okay.
Yeah, and collaborated on music videos too.
This growing presence and impact were clearly recognized by the industry.
Definitely. The sources point to multiple awards, winning Streamer of the Year at the Streaming Awards in 2022 and 2023.
And again in February 2024.
Plus other awards for just chatting and Best Marathon Stream.
The subathons, though, they're perhaps the most talked about part of his story, and the sources detail these extensively.
The Mafiathon.
Yeah.
January 2023. A month-long event.
Resulted in him becoming the most subscribed streamer on Twitch at the time, hitting a peak of, what was it, 306,621 subs.
306,621, breaking Ludwig's previous record.
And the sources make sure to note he was the first Black streamer to achieve that record.
An important milestone. It featured many guests and was seen as pushing the limits of streaming endurance and community loyalty.
And then, incredibly, he did it again.
Mafiathon 2, November 2024. Another month-long subathon.
And the guest list mentioned in the sources is just huge. Major names like Snoop Dogg, Kevin Hart,
Bill Nye, Serena Williams. I mean, huge gets.
And the sources also highlight a specific goal for this second subathon, building a school in Nigeria.
Yeah, with 20% of the proceeds, adding a philanthropic angle.
And he didn't just break a record, he broke his own record.
Shattered it, really. The sources state Mafiathon 2 ended with a staggering 728,535 subscribers.
More than doubling the previous record held by Iron Mouse at the time. I mean, that just cemented his position as a dominant force.
No question.
Beyond the streams, the sources list other notable public appearances and events during this time.
Participating in the Sidemen charity matches, 2023 and 2025.
Scoring a goal at Wembley Stadium in one, right?
Yep. He also appeared in a Mr. Beast video. Made an appearance on WWE Raw in 2025.
His increasing reach also led to major brand partnerships. The sources mentioned deals with Nike.
Explicitly stating he was the first streamer to sign with them.
That's a big deal. And McDonald's, too.
Huge brands.
And the industry rankings reflect this influence. Rolling Stone listed him on their most influential creators list in 2023.
And put him at #1 in 2024.
Number 1. Wow. Forbes also included him on their top creators list, ranking him #44 in 2023 with estimated $4.7 million earnings.
And climbing significantly to #24 in 2024 with estimated earnings of $8.5 million.
The numbers are getting serious.
Very serious.
But his impact, according to the sources, goes beyond just numbers and earnings. He's also credited with influencing online culture and even language.
That's right. The sources connect him to the popularization of internet slang, like Riz.
Which was Oxford Word of the Year in 2023.
Crazy, right? And Guyot, which was nominated for the American Dialect Society's Word of the Year in the same year.
It's an interesting point the sources make about how online personalities can directly impact language, especially youth vocabulary.
Absolutely. A real cultural footprint.
His specific style is also highlighted by the sources as something that's helping redefine entertainment online.
That chaotic, genuine, high-energy approach, it really stands out.
And it is not just refining existing formats. The sources point to innovative projects like Streamer University.
Launched in May 2025. Described as a real-world event, modeled after reality shows.
Bringing other creators to a campus environment for mentorship from people like DDG and Extra Emily.
Yeah, on topics ranging from internet beef to improv. All while streaming and competing. It's a unique blend of reality TV and creator culture.
Very interesting concept.
Now, the sources are also clear that with this level of, massive fame came challenges and controversies.
Right, it wasn't all smooth sailing. They note that Kai reportedly aimed to remain transparent and address issues directly.
Viewing them as, fuel to improve,
Yeah.
opportunities to learn.
Among the specific controversies mentioned in the sources is that Union Square event in August 2023.
Yeah, the giveaway event that led to significant crowd issues, described as a riot.
Resulting in property damage, specifically mentioning a Best Buy being affected.
The sources state he was arrested in connection with this for inciting civil unrest and related charges.
But those charges were dropped in May 2024.
In exchange for an apology and $57,000 in restitution, according to the sources.
Okay. The sources also list other controversies he navigated. Some collaborations described as controversial,
Like a stream involving Blueface and Christian Rock,
and a mod scandal in November 2022, where moderators were reportedly exposed for banning and extorting viewers.
which the sources say strained his relationship with his community for a time, understandably.
More recently, during Mafiathon 2 in November 2024, the sources mention a controversy surrounding a stunt.
Involving Max Major, that included hanging.
Hmm.
Noting there were conflicting accounts regarding whether the stunt had been properly cleared beforehand.
So definitely some bumps in the road.
For sure. But the sources point out that despite these challenges, his resilience
And the strong support from his loyal fan base.
were key factors in helping him move past them.
So what does all this record-breaking cultural influence, team building,
Right.
what does it add up to financially, according to the sources?
Right, the business side. The sources detail multiple revenue streams. There's YouTube ad revenue.
And they mention CPM, cost per thousand views, providing estimates suggesting entertainment content like his might see a CPM around $2.74.
Yeah, an estimate. Then there's Twitch subscriptions, which is massive.
Huge. The sources give calculation examples, indicating someone with around, say, 22,900 subs could potentially be looking at roughly $3.6 million a year after Twitch takes their cut.
That's significant potential. Donations are another stream, and sponsorships a huge role.
The sources estimate individual deals could range anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000.
And likely adding up to well over $1 million per year from those larger brand partnerships like Nike and McDonald's.
Merchandise is mentioned as potential, though the sources note he currently doesn't have official merch, although he did way back.
Right, potential for the future maybe. Based on all these streams and public info, the sources estimate his net worth to be around $15 million to $20 million.
Rising to over $23 million when accounting for assets.
And speaking of assets, the sources list some significant ones. His luxury car collection.
Lamborghini Urus, $200K. Rolls-Royce Cullinan, $500K.
Audi R8, $200K. Dodge Charger Hellcat, $100. Quite the garage.
Yeah. And the sources also note he bought a substantial piece of real estate for his family. A house estimated between $3 million and $4 million.
It's helpful, too, to view this within the larger economic context one source provides.
Mm-hmm.
Noting the creator economy is projected to reach $500 billion globally by 2027.
Wow. Shows just how significant and growing this whole industry is.
Absolutely.
Looking ahead, the sources mention his stated interest in potentially moving into acting. Movies.
Yeah, expanding beyond streaming.
And based on everything we've covered from these sources, it's clear his journey is described as far from over.
Definitely seems that way.
So if we distill everything we found in these sources from, living in a homeless shelter, facing early doubts, even from his principal,
To becoming this record-breaking streamer, a cultural touchstone influencing language.
and a significant business force, the story isn't just one of overnight fame. Not at all.
No, the sources really portray his rise as the result of immense dedication, strategic team building, a deep connection with his audience,
Overcoming challenges.
and a consistent drive to innovate and push the boundaries of digital entertainment. It feels very intentional.
Given his trajectory, then rapidly expanding into real-world events like Streamer University, partnering with global brands like Nike, setting his sights on traditional media like acting.
Where does it go next?
Exactly. So here is a provocative thought for you, our listener, to consider. What does Kai Cenat's career, as detailed in these sources, tell us about the evolving relationship between online creators and traditional media, and what future possibilities and maybe challenges might this convergence bring for creators?